Story. Ghost Wife, collection of short ghost stories. Tonight is the night of the full moon. The children sat around listening to my grandmother tell stories. Ghost stories are always attractive and captivating. Everyone is scared but never misses a story. According to old people, once upon a time, in a certain village, there was a poor, unmarried carpenter. One day, while he was collecting wood in the forest, he saw a beautiful girl crying in the middle of the road. He asked her about it and found out that she was a girl from a neighboring village. Because of famine, her family had lost everything. Only her left. Seeing this, he was moved by pity and had feelings for her, so he invited her to come home and marry her. She was shy at first, so she refused, but after a while of the guy's begging, she agreed. So the carpenter got a wife and lived together for more than 4 years. But one thing happened to her. She always wore a scarf around her neck that she never took off even when they were having sex. One time the carpenter asked, she replied that her body had been weak since childhood, and if she took it off, she would get sick easily, so she had to wear it. Because he loves his wife and trusts her, he doesn't ask anything more. One day, a beggar came to ask him for a bowl of rice while his wife was away. The carpenter immediately gave it to him. After finishing eating, the beggar said,
"I see that you are a good person, so I want to tell you one thing. The person you married is not a normal person but a lay ghost."
The carpenter shouted back, "You talk nonsense. My wife you said is a ghost lie. Do you have any evidence, or are you just talking nonsense to separate us?" The beggar said slowly,
"I'm not talking nonsense. You don't believe that, so I ask you a question. Do you know why your wife always wears a scarf around her neck?"
The carpenter answered loudly, "I know. Because her body is weak, taking it off will make her sick." The beggar then burst out laughing and said,
"You're wrong. There are 3 dots on Ghost Lay's neck. She was afraid of being discovered, so she took a scarf and wrapped it, not because she was sick. Every night, it always ejects its head and intestines from its body to eat other people's feces. Anyone who is eaten by it will suddenly drop dead. If you don't believe me, then tonight, just pretend to be asleep and you'll see. If it's not true, you can go right to the abandoned temple behind the village and take my head."
Hearing that, the carpenter half believed, half doubted, and half was afraid. That afternoon, his mood was not happy, and he did not feel good when he ate. At night, he pretended to be asleep, but his eyes were half open to look at his wife, hoping that what the beggar said was not true. But he was suddenly scared and startled when he saw his wife's head spin around and come out of her body, followed by a handful of bright red intestines out the door, leaving the carpenter alone with his lower body and fear. Extremely deep inside, he still lay there, unable to sleep, and half an hour later, his wife's head and intestines returned. After letting the intestines crawl into the body, the head reattaches itself to the body, rotates in the opposite direction and returns to normal. The wife sat up, wiped off the gold stains on her lips and lay down to sleep as if nothing had happened. The guy saw 3 small dots on his wife's neck and the smell of feces rising from her mouth. He was scared but didn't dare say anything. He just lay there waiting for morning. When the sun rose, he ran to the temple behind the village, told him all the things he had seen last night and said, "You're right, my wife is not a normal person. But can ghosts function normally like humans even at dawn?" The beggar nodded.
"Yes. A lay ghost is not afraid of light unless its intestines are removed from its body, so it can still function normally like a human."
The carpenter was frantic. "What should I do now?" The beggar said,
"Just stay calm. If you want it to stay away from you forever, it's very simple. Tonight, just pretend to sleep as soundly as last night, and wait for it to leave your body, and then turn its body over. Remember, when it comes back, it calls. You absolutely must not turn it over. In the morning, the sun will burn its intestines and it will die."
Doing exactly as the beggar told him, that night, he pretended to be asleep, waiting for the lie ghost to pull its head and intestines out of its body and leave the house. Then he turned its body over and lay still again, waiting. Half an hour later, the ghost wife returned and tried to re-enter her body but couldn't. Looking back, she realized her body had been turned upside down. Ghost Lie immediately called out to her husband.
"Husband, open the door, it's cold out here. Have you stopped loving me? Husband, open the door to let me in, it's cold out here, I'm scared of wild animals."
He loved his wife, but fear and the beggar's instructions made him not have the courage to sit up and turn his wife's body over. When morning came, he went out the door to look and saw only a pile of ashes in front of the house. He packed those ashes and buried them because after all, they had been husband and wife for more than 4 years. What do you think? If you were him, what would you do? Will you continue to live like that or destroy your ghost wife, husband, who has been with you for more than 4 years? Be more careful, maybe the person sitting next to you or next to you, always wearing a scarf and having 3 dots on his neck is with you. Don't let that person read this story because maybe you or I will be victim. The end.
Thank you for taking the time to watch Ghost Stories video. Hopefully the content has brought you interesting and meaningful moments. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Ghost Stories YouTube channel to follow the channel's next videos. See you in the next video. Have a good day.